Welcome, dear seekers of truth and enlightenment. Today, we'll explore the signs of progress on your spiritual path. This journey is unique for each of us, yet there are common threads that weave through our experiences, guiding us towards greater awareness and connection with the divine. As we begin, let's take a moment to breathe deeply and center ourselves. Feel the air filling your lungs, nourishing every cell in your body. With each exhale, release any tension or expectations you may be holding. We're here to learn, to grow, and to embrace the wisdom that resides within us all. Progress on the spiritual path isn't always obvious. It's not like climbing a mountain where you can look back and see how far you've come. Often it's subtle, like the gradual changing of seasons. You might not notice it day by day, but over time, the transformation becomes undeniable.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
One of the first signs of spiritual growth is an increasing sense of inner peace. This doesn't mean you'll never feel upset or angry again. Rather, you'll find that these emotions don't consume you as they once did. You become an observer of your thoughts and feelings, able to acknowledge them without being controlled by them. Think back to a time when something minor would ruin your entire day. Perhaps a rude comment from a stranger or a small setback at work. Now, consider how you react to similar situations today. Do you find yourself able to let go more easily? Can you see the bigger picture and not get caught up in momentary discomfort? This shift in perspective is a clear indicator of spiritual progress. Another sign is a growing sense of compassion, not just for those close to you, but for all beings. You start to recognize the interconnectedness of all life. The boundaries between self and other begin to blur. You see yourself in others, and others in yourself. This compassion extends beyond humans to animals, plants, and even the earth itself. You might find yourself making choices that reflect this expanded awareness, perhaps choosing products that are environmentally friendly or treating animals with greater kindness. These actions aren't born from a sense of obligation, but from a genuine feeling of connection and care. As your spiritual journey unfolds, you may notice a decrease in your attachment to material possessions. This doesn't mean you suddenly give away everything you own and live as an ascetic. Instead, you begin to recognize that true fulfillment comes from within, not from external sources. You might find yourself less driven by the need to acquire the latest gadgets or fashions. The joy of experiences and relationships starts to outweigh the temporary high of a new purchase. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but gradually you may realize that your happiness is less dependent on what you have and more on who you are. Another significant sign of spiritual progress is an increased ability to live in the present moment. Our minds often dwell in the past, replaying old regrets or reliving past glories. Or we project into the future, worrying about what might happen or dreaming of what could be. While reflection and planning have their place, true spiritual growth brings us more fully into the now. You might notice this change in small ways at first. Perhaps you catch yourself fully savoring a meal instead of eating while distracted. Or you find yourself truly listening to a friend without planning what you'll say next. These moments of presence expand over time, allowing you to experience life more richly and fully. As we progress on our spiritual path, we often develop a greater sense of gratitude. This isn't just about saying thank you more often, though that may be a part of it. It's a deep appreciation for life itself, in all its forms. You might find yourself marveling at the intricate patterns in a leaf, or feeling profound thankfulness for the air you breathe. Even challenges and difficulties can become sources of gratitude as you recognize their potential for growth and learning. This growing sense of gratitude often leads to a more positive outlook on life. Not a naive positivity that denies the existence of suffering, but a grounded optimism that sees the potential for good even in difficult situations. You begin to trust in the unfolding of life, recognizing that even when things don't go as planned, there's often a hidden gift or lesson. Another sign of spiritual progress is an increasing ability to forgive. This includes forgiving others who have wronged you, but also, and perhaps more importantly, forgiving yourself. You start to understand that holding on to resentment and guilt only causes more suffering for yourself and others. This doesn't mean you become a doormat or that you don't hold people accountable for their actions. Rather, you learn to release the emotional charge around past hurts. You can acknowledge what happened, learn from it, and then let it go, freeing yourself from the burden of carrying that pain. As you progress spiritually, you may find yourself becoming more authentic. The masks you've worn to please others or fit in start to fall away. You become more comfortable with who you are, embracing both your strengths and your vulnerabilities. This authenticity often leads to more genuine connections with others. As you become more real, you attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are. Superficial relationships may fall away, replaced by deeper, more meaningful connections. Another sign of spiritual growth is an increased sense of personal responsibility. You begin to see how your thoughts, words, and actions create your reality. Instead of blaming others or external circumstances for your problems, you look within to see how you've contributed to the situation. This shift can be challenging at first. It's often easier to play the victim than to take responsibility. But as you embrace this perspective, you'll find it incredibly empowering. You're no longer at the mercy of outside forces. You have the power to change your life by changing yourself. As we progress on our spiritual path, we often develop a greater sense of purpose. This doesn't necessarily mean you suddenly know exactly what you're meant to do with your life. Rather, you begin to feel a deeper connection to something greater than yourself. You might find yourself drawn to serve others in some way, or to express yourself creatively. You start to see how your unique gifts and experiences can contribute to the world. This sense of purpose gives your life greater meaning and direction. Another sign of spiritual growth is an increasing ability to embrace uncertainty. In our early stages, we often seek absolute answers and clear-cut rules. We want to know exactly what's right and wrong, what will happen in the future, what happens after death. As we progress, we become more comfortable with not knowing. We learn to navigate life's ambiguities with grace and trust. We understand that mystery is an integral part of existence, and we learn to find joy in the questions themselves, not just the answers. This comfort with uncertainty often leads to greater flexibility and adaptability. You become less rigid in your beliefs and more open to new perspectives. You're able to hold seemingly contradictory ideas simultaneously, recognizing that truth often lies beyond the realm of black and white thinking. As your spiritual journey deepens, you may find yourself experiencing moments of profound connection or unity. These might be brief glimpses at first, a sudden sense of oneness while walking in nature, or a feeling of boundless love while meditating. These experiences can be deeply transformative, offering a taste of the interconnectedness that many spiritual traditions speak of. They often leave us with a sense of awe and wonder, reminding us of the vastness and beauty of existence. Another sign of spiritual progress is an increased ability to observe your own thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. This skill, often cultivated through practices like meditation, allows you to create space between your awareness and your mental emotional experiences. You might notice thoughts arising and passing away, like clouds in the sky, without feeling compelled to engage with each one. You can acknowledge emotions without being overwhelmed by them. This ability to observe without attachment brings a profound sense of freedom and peace. As we grow spiritually, we often develop a more balanced perspective on life. We learn to see the bigger picture, understanding that life is a complex tapestry of joys and sorrows, successes and failures. We become less reactive to the ups and downs of daily existence, maintaining our center even in turbulent times. This balance extends to how we view ourselves and others. We recognize that everyone, including ourselves, is a mix of light and shadow. We learn to embrace our whole selves, including the parts we once rejected or tried to hide. Another sign of spiritual growth is an increasing sense of humility. This isn't about putting yourself down or denying your strengths. Rather, it's a recognition of our place in the vast cosmos. We understand that while we are significant, we are also just a small part of something much larger. This humility often leads to a greater openness to learning. We recognize that there's always more to discover, more ways to grow. We become lifelong students, eager to learn from every experience and every person we encounter. As we progress on our spiritual path, we often find ourselves naturally drawn to practices that support our growth. This might be meditation, yoga, journaling, spending time in nature, or engaging in creative pursuits. These practices become not just activities we do, but integral parts of who we are. We also tend to seek out wisdom from various sources. We might be drawn to spiritual texts, teachers, or communities that resonate with our growing understanding. At the same time, we learn to trust our own inner wisdom, recognizing that ultimately, the greatest teacher lies within. Another sign of spiritual progress is an increased ability to find meaning in life's challenges. Instead of seeing difficulties as punishments or random occurrences, we begin to view them as opportunities for growth and learning. This doesn't mean we enjoy suffering or seek it out. Rather, we develop the capacity to mine even the most difficult experiences for the gold of wisdom and personal growth. We understand that often, our greatest challenges lead to our most significant breakthroughs. As we advance on our spiritual journey, we may find ourselves experiencing synchronicities more frequently. These are meaningful coincidences that seem to defy logical explanation. You might think of someone and then immediately receive a call from them, or repeatedly encounter a symbol or number that holds special significance for you. These synchronicities often leave us with a sense of awe and wonder, reminding us that there's more to reality than what meets the eye. They can serve as guideposts on our path, confirming that we're moving in the right direction or nudging us to pay attention to something important. Another sign of spiritual growth is an increasing ability to set healthy boundaries. This might seem counterintuitive at first. Aren't we supposed to become more loving and accepting of others? But true spiritual growth involves learning to honor our own needs and limits while still treating others with compassion. You might find yourself better able to say no to requests that don't align with your values or energy levels. You learn to prioritize self-care without feeling guilty. These boundaries allow you to show up more fully and authentically in your relationships and commitments. As we progress spiritually, we often develop a greater appreciation for the power of silence. In a world full of noise and constant stimulation, we learn to value moments of quiet reflection. We find that in silence, we can hear the whispers of our soul and connect more deeply with the divine. This appreciation for silence might manifest as a desire for regular periods of solitude, or as an ability to find stillness even in the midst of chaos. You might notice that you're less compelled to fill every moment with activity or conversation, more comfortable with just being. Another sign of spiritual growth is an increasing ability to let go. This applies to material possessions, as we discussed earlier, but also to ideas, beliefs, and identities that no longer serve us. We learn to hold our perspectives lightly, ready to release them when new wisdom comes along. This letting go extends to our need for control. We begin to trust in the flow of life, understanding that while we can influence our circumstances, we can't control everything. This brings a profound sense of freedom and peace. As we advance on our spiritual path, we often find ourselves naturally gravitating towards simplicity. This doesn't necessarily mean living an austere life, but rather focusing on what's truly important and letting go of the rest. You might find yourself decluttering your physical space, simplifying your schedule, or focusing on a few key relationships rather than maintaining a large social circle. This simplicity creates space for deeper experiences and connections. Another sign of spiritual progress is an increasing ability to find joy in simple things. As we let go of the need for constant stimulation and external validation, we become more attuned to the beauty and wonder that surrounds us every day. You might find yourself delighting in the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the taste of a home-cooked meal, or the sound of a child's laughter. These moments of simple joy remind us of the inherent richness of life. As we grow spiritually, we often develop a greater sense of reverence for life in all its forms. We begin to see the sacred in the ordinary, recognizing the divine spark in every being and every experience. This reverence might manifest as a deeper respect for nature, a more compassionate treatment of animals, or a greater appreciation for the uniqueness of each individual we encounter. We learn to approach life with a sense of awe and wonder. Another sign of spiritual progress is an increasing ability to integrate different aspects of our lives. We begin to see that our spiritual path isn't separate from our work, our relationships, or our daily activities. Instead, every moment becomes an opportunity for growth and expression of our highest selves. You might find yourself bringing mindfulness to your work tasks, expressing compassion in your interactions with strangers, or seeing household chores as a form of meditation. This integration brings a sense of wholeness and alignment to our lives. As we advance on our spiritual journey, we often develop a more nuanced understanding of love. We move beyond romantic notions or conditional affection to a deeper, more universal love. This love isn't based on what others can do for us or how they make us feel. It's a recognition of the inherent worth and divinity in every being. We learn to love not just those close to us, but all of humanity, and indeed, all of existence. Another sign of spiritual growth is an increasing ability to embrace paradox. We begin to understand that truth often lies beyond the realm of either-or thinking. We can hold seemingly contradictory ideas simultaneously, recognizing that reality is often more complex than our logical minds can grasp. You might find yourself comfortable with the idea that we are both individual selves and part of a greater whole, or that life is both profoundly meaningful and ultimately mysterious. This embrace of paradox allows for a richer, more nuanced understanding of existence. As we progress spiritually, we often find ourselves naturally embodying the qualities we admire in others. Rather than trying to imitate spiritual teachers or follow a set of rules, we begin to naturally express wisdom, compassion, and peace. This doesn't mean we become perfect or never face challenges, but we find that our default responses become more aligned with our highest values. We react to difficulties with more grace, treat others with more kindness, and approach life with more wisdom. Another sign of spiritual growth is an increasing sense of freedom. This isn't the freedom to do whatever we want without consequence, but a deeper, inner freedom. We become less bound by societal expectations, past conditioning, and our own limiting beliefs. This freedom allows us to live more authentically and courageously. We're less afraid of what others think and more willing to follow our own path. We understand that true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from our own state of being. As we advance on our spiritual journey, we often develop a greater appreciation for the cyclical nature of life. We recognize that everything moves in cycles, day and night, seasons, lifetimes. We learn to flow with these cycles rather than resist them. This understanding brings patience and perseverance. We know that challenging times will pass, just as good times do. We learn to find value in all phases of the cycle, understanding that each has its own gifts and lessons. Another sign of spiritual progress is an increasing ability to be with discomfort. Rather than always seeking to escape or numb uncomfortable feelings or situations, we learn to sit with them, to explore them with curiosity. This doesn't mean we enjoy suffering, but we understand its value for growth. We develop resilience and inner strength, knowing that we can handle whatever life brings our way. As we grow spiritually, we often find ourselves naturally drawn to serve others. This isn't out of obligation or a desire for recognition, but from a genuine wish to contribute to the well-being of all. This service might take many forms: volunteering, acts of kindness, sharing our skills or knowledge. Whatever form it takes, it comes from a place of love and a recognition of our interconnectedness with all beings. Another sign of spiritual progress is an increasing ability to see beauty in all things. We begin to recognize the perfection inherent in every moment, every being, every experience, even those we might have previously judged as negative or ugly. This doesn't mean we become passive in the face of injustice or stop striving for positive change, but we develop a deeper appreciation for the complexity and richness of life in all its forms. As we advance on our spiritual path, we often find ourselves experiencing more frequent moments of profound gratitude. This isn't just appreciation for good things that happen to us, but a deep thankfulness for life itself. You might find yourself overcome with gratitude for the simplest things: the ability to breathe, the fact of your existence, the beauty of a flower. This gratitude brings a sense of abundance and joy to everyday life. Another sign of spiritual growth is an increasing ability to trust in the unfolding of life. We develop faith not in a specific outcome, but in the process itself. We understand that even when things don't go as we hoped or expected, there's wisdom and growth to be found. This trust allows us to relax more deeply into the present moment, knowing that whatever comes, we have the inner resources to handle it. We become less anxious about the future and more able to appreciate the here and now. As we progress spiritually, we often find ourselves experiencing more moments of pure presence. These are times when our chattering minds fall silent and we're fully immersed in the moment, without judgment or commentary. These moments might come during meditation, but they can also occur spontaneously, while watching a sunset, listening to music, or engaged in a creative activity. They give us a taste of our true nature beyond thought and ego,